April 8, 1944, 27,000 feet above Berlin. The sky was a violent ocean of smoke and silver. B-17s crawled toward their target in tight formation, black bursts of flak exploding around them. From the west came the roar, a new sound the Luftwaffe had learned to fear. Long-nosed fighters slicing through the clouds at nearly 500 miles an hour. The P-51 Mustang had arrived. Only a few years earlier, no one, not even the Germans, had believed America could build a fighter to challenge the Me-109 or the FW-190. Early versions of the Mustang had been dismissed as underpowered, unsuitable for high-altitude combat. German engineers mocked the design. But when the British fitted it with a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, the Mustang was reborn. Faster, higher, deadlier. And when the United States Army Air Forces adopted it, the skies over Europe began to change forever. The Mustang's mission was clear: protect the bombers that carried the war deep into Hitler's heartland. Before the P-51, those bombers had been slaughtered. Flying fortresses and liberators went unescorted for hundreds of miles, torn apart by German fighters long before they reached their targets. Crews prayed for cover that never came, but the Mustang could go the distance, over 700 miles with drop tanks, escorting bombers all the way to Berlin and back. Its sleek fuselage cut through the air like a blade. The bubble canopy gave pilots full vision of the chaos around them, and beneath each wing, 4 50-caliber Browning machine guns waited, eager to strike. The Mustang didn't just guard the bombers, it hunted. American pilots who once flew on the defensive were now predators, stalking Me-109s and Focke-Wulfs from horizon to horizon. In the winter of 1944, the Luftwaffe began to feel the shift. German aces who once ruled the skies found themselves outnumbered, outgunned, and outflown. The P-51s swept over every airfield, every convoy, every train line feeding the German war machine. The Reich's last defense, its once invincible air arm, was bleeding out over its own capital. The Mustang became the symbol of American air power, a blend of courage and engineering perfection. Pilots like Bud Anderson, Chuck Yeager, and Don Gentile became legends. They pushed the Mustang beyond its limits, chasing enemy fighters through cloud and fire, sometimes returning home with bullet-riddled wings and empty guns. They knew every second in the air was a gamble. But to them, the P-51 wasn't just a plane. It was a promise that the skies no longer belonged to the enemy. From the ground, civilians and soldiers alike watched these silver shapes carve vapor trails high above the cities. To the Germans below, they were a haunting sign of what was coming: the end of air superiority, the end of the dream of a 1,000-year Reich. The laughter that once met the Mustang's arrival had turned into silence. By mid-1944, the USAAF controlled the European sky. Allied bombers struck with devastating precision. Factories burned, fuel supplies vanished, and transportation collapsed. The Luftwaffe, drained of fuel and experienced pilots, could barely rise to meet the threat. The Mustang had turned the tide. The hunters had become the hunted. Every sortie carried a cost. Hundreds of young Americans never came home. Their aircraft vanished into the clouds, into fire, into legend. But their sacrifice ensured that others would make it back. When the bombers finally crossed into Allied territory, often limping home on one engine, the sight of those P-51s overhead meant survival. In the closing months of the war, as Allied troops advanced toward Berlin, the Mustang was everywhere, strafing convoys, shattering locomotives, clearing the skies ahead of invasion forces. Its roar was the sound of victory approaching. Even as jet-powered Me-262s tried to change the game, the Mustang's pilots adapted. learning to catch them during takeoff and landing. Skill triumphed over speed, and when the smoke over Europe finally cleared, it was the Mustang that remained. Wings scarred, paint burned from battle, but undefeated. More than just a machine, it was a statement of what America's industry, science, and determination could achieve under fire. A design once ridiculed by the enemy had become the instrument of their downfall. After the war, the P-51 continued to fly. In Korea, in air shows, in the dreams of every pilot who had ever looked up and imagined freedom written across the sky. Its silhouette still stands for something greater. Courage refined by innovation, victory built on sacrifice. German engineers may have laughed at the Mustang once, but by the end, no one was laughing. The sound of those Merlin engines echoing over Berlin was the last thing they ever expected to hear, and the first sound of a new world taking flight.